Good day, listeners. We are the Group 4 and allow us to tour you to the art history and the movements of the periods Renaissance and Mannerism. Together with the proponents of the presentation, Blair, Mylene, yours truly, Kara, that will tackle all about Renaissance, and Angel and Kyla for the Mannerism period. Let us begin with the introduction and summary of the presentation.
Ciao! My name is Blair Mardel Consuegra and I'll be your tour guide for today. Together with my co-tour guides, we will travel back in time to the history of the art of Renaissance to the art of Mannerism. Come with me! Let's have an amazing adventure together. In the heart of Italy, Rome and Florence, a place where the most gems of art and artists in the history was located. A time of mankind that was known as a time of enlightenment, and a gross perfection of human was born. The most important and treasured time where some of the greatest poetry, medicine, discovery, arts, and many other achievements were accomplished and born. A period of art where the focus was on grace and beauty, the time when the world began to change and grow. The disease, the darkness, and the harshness started to crumble and disappear into nothingness. A darkness that preceded people to saw the world in a new light and felt reborn. The Renaissance and Mannerism, where art's idealized forms point of abstraction. Renaissance era. The main concept was that it would put human life, security, and religion at the interior. Renaissance literally means rebirth, and its perfect visualization of what Renaissance was. The Renaissance was an era of peace and prosperity, which gave people a chance to be creative and passionate about their loves and life. Whether it be painting, or sculpting, or theater, or music, and any other thing in life. In the Renaissance, many inventions and discoveries were made, described as taking place from the 14th century to the 16th century. Some of the greatest thinkers, authors, statesmen, scientists, and artists in human history thrived during this era. Renaissance as unified historical period ended with the fall of Rome in 1524. The strains between Christian faith and classical humanism led to Mannerism in the later part of the 16th century. Mannerism is an artistic style and movement that developed in Europe from later years of the High Renaissance. Around 1520s, the end of 16th century, when Baroque started to replace it, it was born as a reaction to the harmonious classicism and naturalism of the Renaissance. It was inclined to exaggerate these qualities with paintings that represents asymmetrical or natural elegant composition. Mannerism spread throughout Central and Northern Europe with several northern painters. It lasted for a whole century until 1600s, when a painter brought Mannerism, a problematic style, to an end, leading to the rise of Baroque.
Hi, my name is Mylene Picafe. Join me as I explore all of you to the world of Renaissance. The beginning of Renaissance. During the Middle Ages, a period that took place between the fall of ancient Rome in 47 AD and the beginning of the 14th century, Europeans made few advances in science and arts, also known as the Dark Ages. The era is often branded as a time of war, ignorance, famine, and a pandemic such as the Black Death. Some historians, however, believe that such grim depiction of the Middle Ages were greatly exaggerated, though many agree that there was relatively little regard for ancient Greek and Roman philosophies and learning at that time. The Medici family. The Renaissance started in Florence, Italy. a place with a rich cultural history where wealthy citizens could afford to support budding artists. Member of the powerful Medici family which ruled Florence for more than 60 years were famous backers of the movement. The Medici family, an art-loving family of wealthy bankers, helped fund the Renaissance. They were famous for their patronage of art. Patronage is where a wealthy person or family sponsor artists. They would pay artists commissions for major arts. The Medici patronage had a huge impact on the Renaissance, allowing artists to focus on their work without having to worry about the money. Through their political strategy, a patronage of major artists like Michelangelo, they created the High Renaissance, and the impact of it were still revolutionary. The Renaissance famous artists and their arts. Renaissance art was characterized by realism and naturalism. Artists strive to depict people and objects in a true-to-life way. They use techniques such as perspective, shadows, and light to add depth to their work. Emotion was another quality that artists tried to infuse into their piece. Some of the most famous artists and their works that were produced during the Renaissance are Dante Alighieri, born in 1265 to a family of lesser nobility in Florence. He began writing poems while young, and when he was 9, he met Beatrice, a girl to whom he later dedicated most of his poetry. Dante is considered the greatest Italian poet, best known for the Divine Comedy, an epic poem that is one of the world's most important works of literature. The poem, which is divided into 3 sections, follows a man generally assumed to be Dante himself as he visits hell, purgatory, and paradise. Dante's poem, The Divine Comedy, is one of the most important works of medieval literature, an imaginary journey through hell, purgatory, and paradise. The work explores ideas of the afterlife in medieval Christian belief. Giotto di Bondomo, known as monomostly as Giotto and Latinized as Giottos, was an Italian painter and architect from Florence during the late Middle Ages. His art was more realistic depiction of human emotion and influenced generations of artists. For almost 7 centuries, Giotto has been revered as the father of European painting and the first of the great Italian masters. He made a decisive break with the traditional Byzantine style, introducing the techniques of drawing accurately from life. He was best known for his art frescoes in the Crovini Chapel in Padua.
Geoffrey Chaucer from 1343 to 1400s. He's an author, poet, and a civil servant best known for the Canterbury Tales. He has been called the father of English literature, or alternatively the father of English poetry. His greatest achievement was to establish English as a major literary language, and his poetry has been loved for generations for its humor and humanity. Sandro Botticelli from 1445 to 1510. Botticelli was an Italian painter and draftsman. During his lifetime, he was one of the most acclaimed painters in Italy, being summoned to take part in the decoration of the Sistine Chapel in Rome and earning the patronage of the leading families, including the Medici. He was also famous for his art, The Birth of Venus. Botticelli was the first Western artist since classical times to depict non-religious subject matter. The idea that art could also be for pleasure, not only for religious matter, was a breakthrough for the Western art. Leonardo da Vinci from 1452 to 1519. He was an Italian painter, architect, and inventor. Renaissance man Leonardo da Vinci was famous for his designs, art, cartography, geology, and studies. Leonardo's design helped us to later invent things like tank, parachute, helicopter, and many others. One of his famous arts are the Mona Lisa and the Last Supper. Michelangelo from 1475 to 1564. He was an Italian sculptor, painter, architect, and poet from the High Renaissance. His works demonstrated physical realism, psychological insight, and intensity never before seen. Michelangelo was also a crucial inspiration for the Mannerism period, the Counter-Reformation, and the Baroque. He was the one who carved David and the creation of Adam. He also painted in Sistine Chapel in Rome. He shaped the modern world of art, and millions visit galleries and museums to view his art. William Shakespeare from 1564 to 1616. He was an English playwright, poet, and actor. He was widely regarded as the world's greatest writer in the English language and also the world's greatest dramatist. He was famous for his sonnets and plays like Romeo and Juliet. England considered him as a national poet and was the most famous playwright of all time. Shakespeare paved the way for the introduction of drama and acting. Renaissance as a unified historical period ended with the fall of Rome in 1527. The strains between Christian faith and classical humanism led to Mannerism in the latter part of the 16th century. Great works of art animated by the Renaissance spirit, however, continued to be made in northern Italy and northern Europe.
I am Angel Grace Calda and I will be discussing about Mannerism. The term Mannerism describes the style of the paintings and bronze sculpture, derived from the Italian Manneria, meaning simply style. Mannerism is sometimes defined as the stylish style for its emphasis on self-conscious artifice over realistic depiction. Mannerism's artificiality, its bizarre, sometimes acid color, illogical compression of space, the elongated proportions and exaggerated anatomy of figures in convoluted serpentine poses, frequently creates a feeling of anxiety. Artworks appear strange and unsettling despite their superficial naturalism. Some scholars see Mannerism as a reaction to Renaissance classicism, while others regard it as a logical extension of it, a natural outgrowth of Michelangelo's emphatic modeling or Raphael's refinement. Art movement, the birth of Mannerism. Mannerism was a period of artistic development in Europe from the 1520s to the end of the 16th century when Baroque began to take its place. It was created with the intention of creating a new style of art that didn't try to replicate nature anymore but instead rebelled against the established rules of art. There are two distinct phases of Mannerism, the early Mannerism and high Mannerism. In early Mannerism, the Mannerists were Italian artists who sought to rebel against the exaggerated painting traditions of the Renaissance. They were led by Italian artists such as Pontormo and Rosso Fiorentino in Florence and Giulio Romano and Parmigiano in Rome. Mannerism's first experimental stage, known for its anti-classical forms, was in existence until the middle of the 17th century. The second phase of the style, known as High Mannerism, is characterized by the collaboration of Tintoretto, Veronese, Bronzino, and other painters. Caravaggio's paintings in 1600 put a stop to this troublesome phase and paved the way for the emergence of Baroque. Jacopo da Pontormo, also known as Pontormo, was the first Mannerist artist. The Florence-born Mannerist painter had his training from Leonardo da Vinci, from whom he would learn the chiaroscuro and sfumato methods. Pontormo, a high Renaissance painter by training, experimented with Mannerist painting, which altered the course of art history. The artist created portraits, notably those of the Medici family, as well as religious artwork. For the early Mannerist artists, Pontormo served as an inspiration.
Greco, 1541 to 1614. In Heraklion, Crete, an island in Greece that was then known as the Kingdom of Candia and was a part of the Republic of Venice, El Greco was born as Dominicus Theotokopoulos. His nickname, El Greco referred to his hometown. In 1570, he relocated to Rome and established a workshop. Later, in 1577, he moved to Toledo, Spain, where he established himself permanently. As a result, he is regarded as the Spanish Renaissance Mannerist painter, sculptor, and architect, who produced some of the most important work of art ever. The Burial of the Count of Orgaz, 1588, a painting by El Greco, was one of the works ordered by Toledo, Spain's parish priest of Santo Tome in 1586. Paolo Veronese, 1528 to 1588. Italian painter Paolo Veronese, who was located in Venice, is most known for his enormous historical works on mythology and religion. He is regarded as the greatest Venetian painter of all time, alongside Titian and Tintoretto. For the Church of San Sebastiano, he painted a ceiling depicting the history of Esther, 1556 to 57. Daniele de Volterra, 1509 to 1566, another Italian Mannerist artist. Daniele de Volterra was a painter and sculptor. Even though he produced numerous well-known works on his own, he is best remembered for his associates with fellow Renaissance artist Michelangelo. Two of Daniel's other notable works are David killing Goliath and Massacre of the Innocents. Jan Bruegel the Elder, 1568 to 1628. John Bruegel the Elder was a well-known Flemish Renaissance painter and artist and the son of Peter Bruegel the Elder. He had created a sizable number of paintings featuring a variety of subjects. Both religious and scientifically accurate paintings were included in these. He created flowers in a wooden vessel as one of his works in 1606 to 1607. Benvenuto Cellini, 1500s to 1571. Benvenuto Cellini was an Italian goldsmith, poet, draughtsman, soldier, and artist who lived from 1500s to 1571. He also published an autobiography, which he began at age 58 and finished at age 63. He produced numerous works that are famous across the world and is regarded as one of the best and most diverse artists of the Mannerism movement. The Salt Cellar of Francis I, a Mannerist masterpiece commissioned by the King of France, is one such example. Parmigianino, 1503 to 1540. Gerolamo Francisco Maria Mazzola, an Italian artist, goes by the nickname Parmigianino. His nickname refers to the Parma, Italy, where he was born and raised. He showed an artistic talent at a young age and, while still a teenager, began to establish his Mannerist style. He created some of the well-known Mannerist works in history, notably the unfinished Madonna with a long neck, 1534 to 1540. The Mannerist movement, which accentuated the harmonious Renaissance ideals, is represented in this painting.
Mannerism retained a high level of international popularity until the paintings of Annibale Carracci and of Caravaggio around 1600 brought the style to an end and ushered in the Baroque. But in 20th century, it regained its popularity for its technical bravura, elegance, and polish. The persistent psychological anxiety manifested in it made the style attractive and interesting to the modern temperament, which saw affinities between it and modern expressionist tendencies in art.
Both Renaissance and Mannerism art focused on human beauty and nature. People, even when in religious works, were depicted living life and showing emotion. Perspective as well as light and shadow techniques improved, and paintings looked more three-dimensional and realistic. In addition to that, it brought to a new emphasis on naturalism and modeling, an attempt to show nature as it is. Thank you for listening.